Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to Planet Marzipan, the Fish and Marillion podcast. I'm Meza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello, and welcome to the latest Planet Marzipan podcast. I'm Meza, and I'm here with my glamorous assistant,
Craig.
Not
Go
fair.
fair, come on,
Not fair
whichever.
this week.
You keep saying I'm not allowed to be fair until it's the weekend.
You can be fair. If it's fair on a Tuesday, that's all right. You just need to let us know.
You know, Bonds has got a lot to answer for.
The feather boa gives it away a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, well.
And we have a guest. We have joining us today the lovely Stephanie. I'll say
It's
that
easy
again.
for you to say.
The lovely Stephanie Bradley.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to Planet Marzipan again. Welcome back to Planet Marzipan.
Very nice to be back.
We'll
I
get
have
you
to
all
say,
to
no,
yourself.
actually, I don't like marzipan. I just
Neither
put
do
it
I, so it's
on there.
fine.
You
I
know,
love it.
it ruins the cake.
Does it?
Yeah, Christmas cake.
Oh.
Icing. None of the horrible yellowy stuff that tastes disgusting. Just
So you don't do Battenberg then?
no.
No,
So
okay.
back in the day, way, way back, Sainsbury's used to do a Battenberg that wasn't a Battenberg. So around the outside of it was icing, yellow icing,
Yeah.
not like sugar
Oh.
paste, but
Ah.
not marzipan.
Marzipan-free
Quite
Battenberg.
Yeah,
Oh.
I was quite gutted when they stopped doing that.
Okay. I don't know what to say to that. We shall petition them to bring it back.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the same with Sarah. Anytime she gets something like an M&S food court that she absolutely loves, you can guarantee 6 months later it's discontinued.
Kiss of death, isn't it? Kiss of death.
I have to say, it was a long, long time ago then. Yeah.
Pre-decimalisation? No.
Not quite that long
No,
ago.
joking.
You get your
Only I
card
can
marked
remember
early.
that far back. Stephanie, we're here to talk to you about your role with Marillion. But
Yeah.
although we've met you lots of times and we kind of know what you do, what would you say your job title is?
Mm.
Okay.
Do you know what? I've thought about this because, I thought, what should I say that I do? And I don't really think there's one that actually covers it all. So convention coordinator is the one that I've gone with because I do a lot of coordinating for the conventions and a lot of coordinating on other things and lots of bits and bobs and odds and sods and this and that kind of, there is no job description really. So
how did it start? How did you get roped in the beginning?
So a long, long time ago.
Is it sepia tinted with a piano playing with?
Yeah, and all the words fading on the screen. It was when Lucy put out the barbecue that was in 2003. Was it 2003?
I think so. Was it down in
Sounds about
Oxford,
right.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was picked, and so I went along with my lovely mate Carol and my lovely friend Nikki and her sister Mandy. And we went along, had a jolly old day. It was a beautiful sunny day, met lots of people that I'd forgotten actually meeting then, and subsequently later on I've said, oh yeah, the barbecue too. And then we were like digging out all the photographs and we were actually sat on the same table. I went and had a good old chat to this Lucy that we'd, all started to hear a lot about because she was so proactive with, getting all the fans involved so much more with everything that the band were doing. And we just got on really, really well. And of course, she lives about 10, 15 minutes away from me. And we talked about our love of Primark that had opened in Hemel at the time because it was new, it was what's his shop, So we met up a few times, went shopping. I would say we went out for a tea or coffee, but she doesn't drink hot drinks, so it would have been me.
She's like me with the Coke and the Pepsi.
Yeah, exactly. And, we we became friends. And then at the 2005 weekend, I just did it. In fact, actually, what I did was I took all the films when we had the signed book for the raffle that the Web UK used to run.
Yeah.
I took them up into town to get them all developed so we could bring them back. And then I got a bit more involved in going along to pack all the copies of Marbles when that came out. So I should have had a sense really of this is what was to come. And that was really good being involved in that. And then Christine, who was Lucy's assistant at the time, decided to move on. And I'd always said to Lucy, if there's any bits and bobs you need me to do, I'm always happy to do that. My son was at school, my daughter had just started nursery, and, I had time in the day. I hadn't gone back to work in my previous life before children. And then she said to me, could you do this? And if ever there was a task you could have given me that would be so suited to me, she said, could I work out all the train stages and train times between the legs of the tour in Europe? Trains. I mean, you've given me a task any more suited that I would fall in love with. So, about an hour or so later, I sent them back. And she said, wow, that's fab. And then she said, do you want to come and help me on a more sort of, permanent basis? And I said, yes, please.
Well, there you go. What did you used to do before you had children? What was your job?
What was my job? Yes. So I started off, I studied colour chemistry at Leeds University, and I went to work for De La Rue, who print 70% of the world's currency and security documents. So I worked on security printing inks for banknotes and passports and checks and all kinds of interesting things like that in a lab coat, which still makes me chuckle.
So if you're a nefarious kind of person who wants to kind of do something slightly illegal with documentation, you're the person to go to. You're the
Absolutely.
go-to girl.
I did become a master forger, and you have to, counterfeiting is I had to, devise anti-counterfeiting measures and things. So
Wow.
it was interesting. It was interesting. I went to work for another security printing company, and then I went to work for Seracol, who do screen printing. I was doing technical service for them, and then I moved away from the actual print side of it into digital imaging, and I worked for Crossford Electronics, who then were taken over by Fujifilm Electronic Imaging, and I moved more from QA R&D into marketing and applications consultant software, that kind of stuff. I used to go around and demonstrate how all our equipment worked, and then teach all of our offices around the world how to demonstrate the equipment and go to various exhibitions and things like that. So
you're smiling, so it sounds like you had a great time.
It was good. I did really enjoy it. So and then I decided I got married to my long-suffering husband Andrew, and then we had a family, and then I was quite happy to say thank you. That's enough. But obviously it's itchy feet, so
And then Lucy lured you into this mad world.
Yep. Been amazed. It'll be 19 years this year, which is just crazy. So it's the longest job I've ever had.
And it's flown by.
And it has flown by. And I still kind of pinch myself, to be quite honest, because it is the job. If you'd said to me when we were talking the last time about, back in the days of those first singles and everything, if you'd said to me when I was 18, what do you want to do? I would have said, well, I want to work for Genesis or Marillion or a band.
Yeah.
And, it would have never crossed my mind that it would actually happen. And
this time you didn't have to bribe them with cakes and things like you did back in the day.
Exactly.
Well, you're obviously, you're known by a lot of the fans as well. I mean, did you come third in the prog?
I did, and that's always really lovely. I mean, it was a real thrill when both Lucy and I won it few years back. I think we won it twice.
Yeah.
And we always feel a bit bad, really, because, we feel like we've been sung, so we don't need to be sung because there are so many other people out there who do so much in the prog world to put that music forward. So, but it's very touching that people take the time to vote. So
Anybody that knows you and has chatted to you know that you give people time and you listen to whatever they've got to say, however contentious it is. You give people time and respond accordingly.
Well, I think that's what anyone really should do. We're all here. We're all interested in the same thing. It's a passion that we all have. So why would you not, be nice and share it? And
You still, I mean, I'm talking to you previously. I know you're still like up and coming bands now. You've got like 2 or 3 bands that you're really into at the moment.
Haunt the Woods.
Yeah, On the Woods.
The
Nothing
most
but Thieves.
amazing band. They deserve to be huge.
And Nothing But Thieves, were they?
Oh yeah, they're not up and coming. I mean, they're
Well, no, they're there now, aren't they?
they're there.
Yeah.
But so that's the nice thing about having, children as well, is that they introduce you to their music.
Yeah.
And the story of that was back in 2014, I took Tasha to see them because you had to go, if you were 14, you have to be accompanied by a parent. And I went along. I'd heard of playing them. And I was up in the gallery where all the parents were, and they came on, and about 2 songs, and I'm like, I'm going down there. This band is amazing. And so on I remember putting it on Facebook, coming out and saying, this band is going to be huge, because it was their first headline in at the Electric Ballroom. And I said, this band is going to be huge. And lo and behold, they are huge. They've headlined the O2. I think this week they're playing the Ziggo Dome. 2 nights at the Ziggo Dome.
Yeah.
So, massive worldwide success.
Absolutely.
Which I'm thrilled about. And I'm also thrilled that I got to see them a couple of weeks ago back at the Forum. They did a small...
Did the Radio X thing, didn't they?
Yeah, the Radio X thing. So right
Brilliant.
down the front. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back to the prog, because I know Craig's dying to talk about prog again. So you first kind of got involved.
You two are legends of prog. I'll just take the back seat here because you two know your stuff like you.
You're a secret prog head, you. When we're not recording, that's all he talks about.
Hey, John, watch out! Me and Stefan will start talking about Star Trek, so just watch yourself.
You can if I need to go to the loo. Yeah. So you first really got involved with packing the marbles discs then?
Yes.
And then from there, where did it go? What were you sort of next involved in the convention after that, or? Yeah,
so I mean, I'd been to the first 3 weekends. I mean, I took the whole family to Pontins, which was hysterical.
I was going to, have they forgiven you for that then? Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tasha was still in a cot, in a travel cot, which we could just about wedge between the bunk beds in the little cottage bungalow thing that we had.
I think that's what we did with Dobby, if I remember right. We just stuck him in the cot.
And then Carol and I went to 2003 and 2005. I mean, and even when I was there in 2005, it never crossed my mind that I would be organising the next one in a foreign country as well, which just is...
Not like a big learning curve.
Everything went up a level, didn't it? Yeah.
So it was after to Marbles, after the 2005 weekend, that Christine moved on, and it was the September that I started working for Lucy, and started going into Racket, and that was really weird, going in and standing in the kitchen, and they all came in and started making tea and coffee, and I'm standing there going, ooh, this very, very odd.
I tried to make small talk with Mark Kelly on Saturday night. It was rather strange as well, but yeah.
Will you sign me book?
Once you've said, "I really love your music," what do you say? It really is.
Well, exactly. Whereas now it's all. I mean, we've been on tour together, so it's all completely. Completely.
There's no secrets.
Yeah, there are no secrets. Definitely no secrets. Once you've been on a tour bus together, that's it.
Well, coming right up to date then, your involvement in the most recent conventions, Am I right in thinking that you liaise with the park and then you're the coordinator for the allocation of the accommodation?
Yeah, so basically what happens, the run of events is Lucy and I talk to Centre Parks and organise when it's going to be. And then I get all the list of available cottages, because sometimes it changes because of, damaged cottages, and they also have staff stay, because for the event they have to have so many staff.
Yeah.
And because as we know, it's in the middle of nowhere, they actually have to have staff stay there. So once I know what cottages I've got, I then get all my spreadsheets out ready. I have a massive, great big A3 plan of the park, which in all honesty is really ingrained in my head now, because I close my eyes and I can see where
See
every
it in your
cottage
sleep.
is, and then get all the information up on the website, which obviously Mark is very much the part of.
Mark Kennedy.
Mark Kennedy, yeah. So, between the two of us, we make sure that all the information's there, and he makes it look all pretty and wonderful and functional. And I designed a booking system with Fuse Metrics, who look after all the software side of Racket Records. And it's a complete bespoke booking system.
Oh, wow.
And then everyone goes through the whole booking process. Because it's really hard to explain to people. I kind of say it's a bit like doing a jigsaw puzzle, but without a picture, because you can't just allocate somebody a ticket. You've got to allocate them a bed, and it's not straightforward because there are different sized cottages, and it's all permutations and combinations of things.
So you've got different price ranges of everything as well, different sizes of cottages, different. Yeah, it's massive.
Different levels of cottages, and then different numbers of people want to come and share. And then, an added complication, if you've got 12 people coming, for example, that want to share, it's a lot of responsibility for one person to take all of the money and to coordinate.
Yeah.
So therefore, I have to have a thing on the system that people who want to share but are booking separately, they put in a code word, so I know that I have to put them together. So once I've got all that information, and there is no system that could do that on the fly.
Yeah.
There isn't. I mean,
No.
well, maybe with AI now, but they probably get it really horrendously wrong. So all that information kind of has to come into the pool, and then I can get all that information from the booking system. I can essentially data mine it to work out who wants what and who wants to be with who and who wants to be where, and try and fit that in. And obviously we're oversubscribed, so it has to be done in a fair way. And that takes time, that it can't be done instantly. So that's why the whole booking process takes a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, really, for me to go through and work out how I can fit as many people in, getting exactly what they wanted. So,
and then to make sure the Norwegians are far away from everybody else.
Well, yeah, and obviously when I'm matching people up, because people are coming on their own and they don't know anybody, I've also got to look at, from a language point of view, it would be terrible to put someone in, an Italian in with some French people and German people, and none of them had a common language. It would be, that would make it very difficult. Because for me, the most important thing is I want everyone to have the best possible time that they can have. And then once I've got all that information and I can see what everyone wants, and if we are oversubscribed, I've got those spreadsheets with how many people can fit in a 2, how many people can fit in a 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then I'll just randomly select people from those lists, just get a number generator out and just select them. So it's fair, because that's the only way to do it. So,
and you must have had some stories about lifelong friendships made from these people who you've kind of put together.
And that is truly, truly the most rewarding thing of all of it, is that, because it's with a little bit of fear and trepidation that I'm putting all these people together who've never met each other. And obviously I introduce them before the weekend so they can get to know each other on email and swap phone numbers. So, the logistics of it. But it's kind of I really hope they get on. So, I take the time to look at what country they're from. And obviously I've got to know a lot of the fan base through social media and previous weekends and concerts. And I look at age group as well, because sometimes you don't want to put a load of the party people in with someone who really wants to go to bed straight after the concerts as well, and then it's zoning it out as well, so that there's certain areas of the park that become party central, and then there's quiet areas of park of the park for the people that don't want to be up all night with someone blaring Grendel out at 3 o'clock in the morning, full volume. So,
I think you
but
do
yeah,
an incredible job with that. It
It's almost an
sounds
impossible
like an
task, really.
impossible task.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
in the 8 weekends that I've organised, I've only had 2 people come up and complain about the people that they've been put with,
Don't
which is
tell him it was
I'm
me.
really,
Shh.
I'm really sorry about that. I'd like to apologise. Whatever we
always
did, I'm
one.
sorry.
There's always one. Um, so I have to say I'm pretty chuffed with that.
Yeah, it's an incredible record.
And as you say, I mean, literally after the last show finished on the Sunday night at PZ, some people stopped me. I was running around because Focus comes on and everyone's running around like crazy, and I'm just like, thank God it's over, it's finished. Phew. And some people grabbed me and said, "Oh, can we talk to you?" And I'm thinking, please don't say something horrible to me now, because now I'm on a high. I can actually relax. And they just said to me, "Oh, look, thank you so much for putting us together. We've got on so well. We're going to keep on touch." And well, what
I
more could you
think,
ask,
I think Craig and we won't say where it is, but I think Craig and I both know where you go at the end of the PZ weekend, and you can see you completely de-stress and depressurize and basically lie on the floor sometimes. I think.
I do lie on the floor, yeah.
Yeah, it's been the
And
same.
there's usually, some chilled Prosecco waiting for me.
Yes,
A
yeah.
Because
bucket of it.
I daren't really drink through the weekend, because I just have to have my wits about me the whole time. Because from the moment of arriving at the park, when Bianca was my counterpart at Centre Park, she would literally just say to me, "It's all yours,"
Oh wow.
Ta.
you know, and because really they're not involved at all in the process of putting people in. The lovely Miriam, who works in reception, helps with all the whole check-in procedure, but all the information I give to them,
Yeah,
and do the massive key drop and get all the welcome packs ready and stuff like that. But essentially, they don't get involved in any of that. It's just the logistics whilst we're there, of making sure that everything runs smoothly and everything that we need to facilitate the weekend happening, that they provide it. And they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. All the staff are wonderful.
I
you
mean, you
must
get
have.
a lot. So you get. I mean, you've got a lot of work over that weekend.
Yeah,
Because I mean, even though the planning and just getting everything together, even before you get it, that's just the start of it. I mean, you don't seem to have a minute to yourself
I don't. I
throughout the
don't.
weekend, apart from
I,
like getting to watch some of the gigs and having a certain prog disco in the, in
yeah,
the
I mean,
evening.
just throw that in as well. Have a prog disco, but as if I'm not tired
Yeah,
already.
through to the wee small hours. You've been working all day. Then there's been a gig, and then the prog disco is
Yeah,
like, come on,
I
how
mean,
the
that
hell
was
can you
even
fit the
worse.
time in?
In the earlier ones, that was even worse, because that was on the Friday and we checked everyone in on the Friday. So I'd literally been going all day, and then straight through to 2 o'clock in the morning running a disco as well. So it's a bit easier now that, everyone arrives on the Thursday, and then we have the welcome party on the Thursday.
You've
And then
got your deputy with Barnes now, haven't you? You handed over to Barnes.
actually, yeah, he hands over. I hand over to him when I'm just like, I'm flagging now. I'm really flagging now. So you take over, Barnes. Usually it is halfway through a Billy's Burger. So
Yes, yeah. It's the
But the
best
six
time to
ones.
catch him. He can't say anything. Yeah, he can't say no.
the big thing for me though was bringing Steph Farrer on board, because I realised after which was the first one she did, 2013. So 7, 9,
Yeah, I
11.
think it was 2013 was the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so after the first four, when I just needed, there are times where I just need to be in 2 places or 3 places at once,
Yeah.
because something needs organising somewhere and I need to be there, and I just couldn't do it. So I needed a second me, really, and I even found a namesake.
I'm gonna say, yeah,
And Steph's been my friend for a long time, a very dear friend.
yeah, yeah.
And I knew that I would be able to rely on her completely. And it needs to be the sort of person that I can literally just say, go there, do this, do that, bring my earrings, bring my boots that I've left in the cottage. She is my earring roadie. It,
Yeah, I
it
think I think with
someone
the
who,
Vaca team, you all trust each other, you all rely on each other, and it's a close knit family.
It is,
You
it
know,
is.
because you trust each other so much, and it's all earned. You know,
And she was not part of any of that before. I mean, she was literally my friend,
yeah.
that I got to know because our children were in this, started off in the same nursery class. And I knew that she would be the completely dependable person that I needed to help me. And
Mm.
she's utterly invaluable. But with regards to the rest of us at Racket, yeah, I mean, we do rely on each other completely and just work to get everything done that we need to. Everyone's got their defined roles, and we just let each other get on with what we have to do, and then support each other wherever we need to. So
I think it kind of works, doesn't it? As Craig said, everybody knows everybody else's role and trusts everybody else. But even when you look at the merch team in PZ, the same faces every time now, and they know what's expected. They work really hard
yeah,
for their their shift, and then they have some downtime. But it's everyone plays their part. It really is a team effort.
it really, really is. And I think it's a learning process. I mean, this will be the ninth one for next year, and I'm still learning. Each time I go through it, I'm like, I can do that better. There's a better way of doing that, or we could do this, or wouldn't this improve it? And and that's included in all levels of it, in the booking process, in the running of it when you're there, all of it.
Yeah.
So
So how long beforehand do you start getting a nervous twitch when you know it's coming?
pretty much as soon as the last one's finished, because there's only really a few months before we start to talk and think about what's happening. I mean, 2022, 2023, that was kind of crazy because although we didn't have a PZ in 2022, having two consecutive years of conventions
Yeah.
was really full on, because for the other ones, although I don't do any booking or taking them, I look after the merch. So the
Mm.
lovely Georgina looks after the merch for PZ with her team of people and does an absolutely brilliant job. And then for the other weekends, I look after the merch, and I have a wonderful team of people that help me in exactly the same way. They know what they've got to do, and just get on with it. But there's all that involved in Mark's busy designing all the merch. We're trying to decide what we want. We have to work out how many t-shirts we want and how many bits and bobs and this and that. And it's another logistical thing, and making sure that it arrives. And of course, Brexit really didn't help.
Nope.
That's made it far more complicated than it ever was before. So we have to work very quickly because there's not much gap between all the weekends. So yeah,
Yeah.
rolling from 2022 to 23, I had a few weeks off after Montreal. I stayed in America with my other lovely Nikki, who lives over there, who comes to help with the merch. And I came back, and 2 weeks later, literally was straight into the booking of PZ. So
There
been
must be a lot of people who are listening to podcasts will have experienced a Meridian weekend. If you hadn't, could you sum up what it is?
it's really hard. It's really hard, especially the PZ one, to try and explain it to people. I'm sure you find the same.
Yeah.
It's like going on the biggest family holiday that you can imagine, but not with your family, which may be sometimes a good thing. Sometimes family holidays can be a bit, but with the best music and the best camaraderie and events, so 24/7, really. That's the only way to sum it up. It's a completely unique thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen we I mean we kind of go with our friend group and we meet new people there, but we see people who come on their own, and by the end of the weekend they've got a new friend group, and the
Yeah.
fans are just welcoming and everybody wants to talk about the band or the shared love for the band. And the Centre Park staff are amazing.
Oh,
I think they love it, don't they, when we
they
turn up?
do. They're absolutely amazing. They really, really are amazing. And in fact, they have a ballot for people wanting to work that weekend, and people from the other parks and people who've even left because obviously they need as many staff as possible. They all go into the ballot to be able to work for the weekend.
Wow.
And they, but they all really want to. They're
Yeah.
quite disappointed if they don't get chosen. So But yeah, they're wonderful. There's nothing that they wouldn't do to make the weekend a success.
Yeah, I
And
mean the PZ's got such an atmosphere. I mean, I've done every one of them. Here's looking at John, who kind of escaped one. Yeah, you did.
I took a stand one year and I got it wrong. All right, all right. Stayed at home and I went to see Arena in Leamington Spa instead. There was
I'm
still a Marillion link, so
I'm saying nothing.
you know him as well, so you can't say anything.
And there's one of the things, I mean, my dad loved coming to PZ. I mean, he did, was it three? My dad did.
Mm.
He loved them before he passed. You know, he used to love the whole camaraderie thing and with all our friends and stuff. And my brother-in-law, in fact, with Sarah's been as well, but before she was a teacher and couldn't go.
Yeah,
It's an experience that even if you're not necessarily a hardcore Marillion fan, you with the family, everybody seems to enjoy it.
absolutely. Because there's just so much to do. There's not least the Centre Parks facilities, which aren't
Yeah.
that used. It's the quiz, it's the discos, the
I'm getting a twitch now with the quiz.
can see
It's one of the highlights for me, the quiz.
Rocky Oki after the gigs on the Saturday and the Sunday.
You can't get in. It's over again. That's
Yeah, you
over.
never get into Rocky Oki.
I
Not that you
know.
would, because you've got to go to the
Right.
prog disco, no matter what you're in.
Prog disco's where it's at,
Yeah,
though.
that's
We
what
know
it's
that.
at,
We
yeah.
know
Absolutely.
that.
The pronga. I mean,
Yes.
Our prog conga,
Yeah.
yeah.
pronga, prog conga. My work is done. My work is done.
If you know, if you've been, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's oversubscribed anyway is
Yeah, so if it's
wonderful.
over, oh, it's horrible. No, you don't want to go. No.
No, it's rubbish. Yeah, don't.
I want me place.
But I love it. I absolutely. I mean, it is an incredible hard work, but it's the job satisfaction is just seeing, as I said, on H's the other one, the
Yeah.
other podcast.
There's another
Corona
Marillion
Diaries.
podcast, isn't there?
It's the sea of smiles. It's looking
Yeah.
out and seeing that sea of smiles. I feel very privileged. I get to stand at the side of the stage and I see it from a much different perspective, or I stand on the platform at the back. But when I look out from the side of the stage, I'm sort of peering from Guitar World and I just see this sea of smiles. And how could you not think, wow, this is an amazing thing. All these people are here and they're having the best time. And that's all you can hope for.
And I think as well that since the weekends have expanded, obviously originally with the UK conventions and the one in Canada, now with the addition of like Germany and Italy and places like that, they seem to be becoming more and more popular.
Definitely.
And it's definitely like a way forward for the band to get around places and do 2 nights and not cost the earth for touring.
Exactly. And I think, it gives people who don't have the opportunity to go and see them on tour because they can't tour everywhere. It's
It's impossible.
why aren't you playing in my back garden? Because it's just not possible. But when Lucy's done a great job of finding places in different countries, along with Rich, they look at all the venues and the logistics and everything. So, going to Poland gives them the opportunity because then at least the people in Poland can travel. And obviously fans from elsewhere in Europe and from around the world, it's an opportunity for them to go somewhere they've never been before, and to Lisbon and to Berlin and to Padua, so it caters for the local people in their country, but also offers other opportunities for people from around the world to get together.
And
there
you
are
can make a weekend of
more
it.
of them.
Yeah.
Do you think it might be something that the band moved towards instead of touring?
I honestly don't know. I mean, every year is a new year, and
They're not getting any younger.
Well, yeah.
I'm not saying that. I mean, look, the Rolling Stones are still touring. I honestly don't know. I guess it really depends on whether that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
Certainly at the moment we're looking towards the weekends for 2025.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when the album comes out, there'll be a tour to support the album as well. So,
And then after that, we'll have a word with Barnes and we'll have some kind of ABBA voyage version of the avatars of them. So we'll be playing marbles in like 2050 with avatars somewhere in the
Avatars,
top
yeah.
room.
Have you got a favorite Marillion live memory or a favorite gig?
I do actually. Do you know, when Lucy interviewed me for the Marillion Monthly, I was so terrified that I couldn't quite think straightly. Straightly, I can't even talk properly now.
Oh, you don't have to
Um,
talk properly on this pod, you know that.
oh, I know, I know. I blame it on the pancakes. It's pancake day, so I've eaten too many pancakes. And I said, my favourite moment was just when the first one was over, because there was this huge sense of relief. But actually, my favourite live moment was probably the Royal Albert Hall, because seeing my band, playing the Royal
Yeah, we said,
at
yeah.
such a venue, and for me, the added poignancy of that, and the gig that was before that, the Paris gig. Um, at the Zenith, was Emma on the flute. So for those that don't know, Carol Hownan was my best friend,
Mhm.
and who I met from the Marquee days. So when we were 18, at the 12th night gigs. In fact, the first time I met her, she was wearing a Marillion t-shirt, and we became good friends, soulmates. And I was her bridesmaid, she was my bridesmaid, and she had two lovely children, one of which was Emma, who started playing the flute when she was about 8, I think. And I remember phoning her up one day, and I said, "Oh, listening to classical music in the background." She went, "Oh no, that's Emma." I went, "Really?" And so when she was 16, she got a scholarship to the Purcell School, which isn't very far from here, so that was handy. And she just so talented, amazingly talented, and absolutely lovely darling. She really is. So at that point, I remember saying to Mike, "If you ever need anybody to play the flute, I know the person." Never ever thinking that anything would come of it. And then she went off to the Royal College of Music. And then one day Mike came to me and he said, "You know that you said about Emma?" And I said, "Yes." And and
Wow.
and so that's what happened. And so I went to Emma's first gig in Paris. Carol couldn't make it, unfortunately, because she worked in a school and she couldn't get the time off, which is why that was a real shame for me as well, that she was never able to come to any of the PZ weekends, having gone to both of the Butlins ones together.
Yeah.
She was never able to come to one of those, although she came to the Leamington Spa, and then she came to Wolverhampton as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so at the Royal Albert Hall, sitting next to her and seeing her, Emma, up there playing with the band, it's just like, wow, that's full, because we'd been there not long before and she was playing at the proms. So it was kind of totally
Amazing.
totally mind-blowing, really.
Yeah. Yeah,
Little Emma, I
absolutely.
mean, I'd known Emma since she was literally 3 hours old, so
How involved were you in the prep for the Royal Albert Hall gigs?
Um, one of the other things that I do for the band is working out what merch is needed for the tours. So again, as a team, we all back ideas around, what t-shirts we have. Should we have hoodies, t-shirts, key rings, blah, blah, blah. We all come up with suggestions. Mark goes away and does all the wonderful designs, and then the design's approved, and then work out all the numbers of what we need, and then we get it supplied and manufactured, and then have to organise getting it all delivered to the right places. So that was one of my jobs for that. Oh, for the very first Royal Albert Hall, we did a pre-sale of the t-shirts.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
This is the other thing that a lot of people maybe don't know is the fact that we have to pay concessions. So if people are wondering why their t-shirt prices have gone up, it's because the concessions that we have to pay to venues,
Massive, aren't
the privilege of selling our t-shirts and wares, we have to pay them a fee, and the fees have become ridiculous.
Yeah.
Marillion very early on took a stance that they wouldn't play venues that charged a concession, and Lucy had that very clearly on the website.
It was
Which is why,
especially the O2
yeah, well,
venues
and
early on.
Hammersmith, that's
Yeah,
why we played the Forum
yeah.
mostly, because it was just a small fixed fee, whereas Hammersmith was a big concession. But then there aren't really any independent venues. The Forum got taken over by O2, so either AEG or Eventim or
Yeah.
Power Company, OVO, and or O2 own pretty much all of the venues, and they
Right.
charge concessions, and it takes a massive amount away from what the band can make
Yeah.
on the merchandise sales. We don't turn around and say, can we have 25% plus VAT of the bar take? And in a lot of time they don't even provide you with a big enough area to put it in, and a lot of the time they'll either sell it themselves, but equally they won't sell it. So you are literally just paying for a table, which is shocking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about it quite a lot, Craig and I think Fish was talking about it on Fish on Friday a couple of weeks ago
Yeah, he
as
was, yeah.
well, because he's trying to tie down the venues for his farewell tour with similar sort of problems about the merch,
We need to hire an ice cream van, kitted out with merch, park it up the street.
On the other street, yeah.
Yeah.
Come
Just
get
have
your
the
hooky merch,
Just
hooky
have the
merch.
marbles ringtone instead of the ice cream chime.
Oh, that would be funny. That would be.
Mike Barton, calling Mike Barton. Come on.
Of course, for these the bands that play the arenas, the bigger bands, it doesn't really affect. I mean, obviously they still have to pay the same level of concession, but they shift so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, isn't it, really?
Numbers game, their unit cost is tiny compared to ours because they've ordered, a million more t-shirts. So,
Well, my daughter went to see Phoebe Bridgers at Manchester Apollo 2 years ago, I think it was. And she wanted to get down the front, so she went and queued really early, and they were in a very orderly queue. But they actually sold merch, official merch, to the queue. And it's only afterwards that I thought, hang on, were they doing that to avoid the levy of them buying it inside? I
quite
don't know the answer to that.
quite a few bands recently have done pop-ups
Have they?
of the non-prog bands that I go and see.
Yeah.
Because there are quite a few. So like Don Broco recently had merch pop-ups in pubs. Who else did it recently?
We did it years ago. Back
Yeah.
in this is where Craig goes back in the day of actually having a merch shop back in like 2009, 2010. We weren't too far from the O2 Academy. So we had bands in the shop and we had their merch in the shop, so they didn't have to pay the concession there.
Yep.
And there was like signings and things, but but we couldn't make the shop work because there was no margin and everything, and all your HMVs and everything suddenly cottoned on that. T-shirts were a lot more valuable than selling than CDs.
Indeed.
Back in the day, as well as having a cake shop,
Yeah.
One of my other memories of that Royal Albert Hall gig is actually someone took a great photograph as well. As I'm sitting there and I was reminded of it with all the Brave thing when he comes out with the coat with the mirrors.
Yeah.
And I remember after the PZ and when I was in Montreal, I'm sitting there in Montreal and I'm sitting in the Royal Albert Hall sewing.
Sewing mirrors back on.
Yeah, so at Montreal I was sewing the mirrors back on, but at the Royal Albert Hall I'm sewing a couple of buttons back on one of H's coats.
This job description goes on for hours, doesn't it?
It goes on for hours now. Other funny things that have happened. I remember I came into work one day and they said, right, we need some costumes for we need to take the, progging around the Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Steve Brothers was like, oh, I need, I think I need a wizard's cape and here's some material, So I put the cape together and the flower that Pete had, so they'd bought that costume in. The petals were just flopping down. So I had to get some cardboard and stick it. It was all very Blue Peter like, very much like my home life at the time, where kids come and say,
sticky back
I've got
plastic
an
glue.
I need to be a Roman, or I need to be a Tudor. Can you magic me up a costume out of nowhere? So a couple of pillowcases later, a couple of curtain ties, and you're done.
Yeah, channeling your inner Valerie Singleton.
Yeah. I need it for tomorrow, Mum. Yes.
Yep. The other thing that I get involved in a lot is covering at Racket Records. So if we have a big release coming out that requires lots of packing, not only do I go in to help the wonderful, very hardworking Rich, we usually get Sheila, Alan and Lucy Jones in to help as well with the packing from the Web UK. They do a great job with the Web UK. and they come in and help us pack, which is great. And I have to say that Sheila makes the most amazing shortbread, so
Oh wow.
that's a big bonus as well.
Excellent.
So, so on a day-to-day basis, Rich handles most of it. Is he on his own most days, or is he?
On his own, and I think that, people don't realise. I think when they see Racket Records, they think it's this big enterprise of, commerce, and really it's Rich.
I think people think it's these small, like, orange people with green hair who sing songs when stuff comes in.
That's only on a Thursday, so
okay.
no, he does it all mostly single-handed. The orders come in, he answers the customer service emails, he packs the orders, he ships everything off, as well as managing the studio and everything else that's going on, especially if the band are in, and getting everything ready for the tours, for his other role. And then, so I come in to help if we've got a big shipment going out, and obviously if he's away, I come in to cover for him. And then really just other busy times. And then obviously Mark does the whole, the website and all the rest of it. So there's really the four of us that is Racket Records.
And it keeps busy though, because I would imagine on a daily basis, considering the ship worldwide, there's always a fair few orders through on a daily basis, randomly as it is.
There is, and it is worldwide as well. It's quite interesting to see where all the parcels go. We have a bit of a giggle over some of the addresses, but it's amazing. It's sort of every corner of the globe that things go to. But going back to the the point about the poll and the unsung heroes, to me the unsung heroes are Rich and Mark, because they haven't been sung at all, and they should be. They both work extremely hard.
Well, we shall sing their praises, absolutely, rightly so. Yeah, they do work hard. Obviously we know Mark's a friend of ours, so we kind of know the workload that he has, and I'm sure Rich is just as busy.
He is. I mean, it's so much more complicated now with everything for the tours and going abroad because of Brexit. The nightmare that it's been, for us shipping all the orders out, as well as getting everything ready for tours. It has not benefited the UK at all, really. It's just cost, especially small companies, it's cost them a fortune.
Someone should write an album about it. Oh, they already have. We keep alluding to our fear episode, don't we?
Yeah.
We know fine well who we've got to ask on for the fear episode, though, don't we? No matter what.
I think, yeah. Based on what you said today, yes, I think we will. You might have to come on to give it some balance, if I'm honest.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe that's true, because it's a bit of a Marmite album as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. We, without giving the game away, yes, it is. It is an Marmite album, but I fell out with some people online when it first came out, so I shall probably just say those things again in the safety of our podcast. But yeah.
Well, why did they use the F word?
Still bothers me now. Still bothers me. But there you go. It does. It does. It doesn't feel right. It's never in my iTunes Apple library. It's never been called all that. It's fear. That's all it is.
You should have called it cheer. Then you could have chuff everybody in one. Would you be better for you? And it's a bit more of an uplifting title as well.
Yeah. True. Anywho,
such a sensitive soul.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, soul.
You are. You're a big softie, really.
Too right.
Are there any anecdotes that you can tell us about what's happened on tour?
Oh, crikey.
We'll do a separate podcast for the ones that you can't really tell us.
Yeah, who's the biggest snorer?
Well, probably me, no. But the funny thing was the first time I went on tour on the actual tour bus, as my friends will tell you, I can fall asleep anywhere.
Clothes laid.
When we go away for a girly weekend, we're usually on the Prosecco at 4 o'clock in the morning because we're getting up at silly o'clock to get on a flight to have a long weekend. And so we've had a glass and I sat on the plane before it's even taken off. I'm like, on. And I fall asleep on the train, on the bus, in the car. And I thought, yeah, be no problem. I was a bit worried about being a little travel sick, but that wasn't an issue. So the first night on the tour bus, I didn't sleep at all because I was horizontal. That just felt completely weird being laid down horizontal. So I didn't sleep at all, which was not good. Because then the next day was the Glasgow um, ABC, and it was the tiniest area of merch to sell. And I had all these boxes. Again, another learning curve, they were all mixed sizes. And I just remember spending the whole day having all the boxes out in the venue and just trying to work out how I could actually fit everything into the actual space that we had. I guess the funniest thing that tickles me was when I did the US tour. The 2018 one, the one that finished in Dallas. H was doing his, right, I'm going to thank everybody, and everyone's thanking all the crew, the lights, Jens on the lights and sound and all the wonderful people on tour who work extremely hard to make the shows happen. And then someone was going like this, flashing their t-shirt, and he went, "Oh yeah, Stephanie. Oh yeah, Polka. She's the one that has to sleep with us all every night." It wasn't what he meant. And I was like, I can't believe you've just said that.
It's a heck of a
So
claim to
just
fame.
clarifying for anyone, because that is on a download.
Yeah.
I don't actually sleep with them every night in that sense.
Well, don't say no. You've just made it worse. You don't sleep with them every night. You don't sleep with them at all. Keep digging. Come on.
That job description just gets longer, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm sure if there was a HR department here, they'd have something to say about it.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah, somebody's got a clipboard as we speak.
Because you're around the band so much, can you still enjoy the music?
Absolutely. It was the one thing that was in the back of my mind when I said yes to go and work with them. I thought, I don't want this to change. I don't want this to change anything because, going to see them play has been one of the most important things for me, one of the most enjoyable things, like all the other bands that I love. And I didn't want that to change because the music is so important. And it hasn't. It really hasn't, because when they get up on that stage, I'm at a gig and I'm watching a band that I love, and have loved for 40 years.
Yep.
And that's exactly what it is, and I'm just like any other fan, I mean, the real thrill, the little treat that Lucy and I have is the last night of Leicester and Montreal. We go and sit in the pit, which is terrifying being that close up to the band. And it because we're just this, we're suddenly fans, we're there watching them and just getting lost in it and sitting in a very privileged position, which I feel very, very lucky to do, and getting covered in confetti that I usually find for weeks afterwards.
But it's the same though, because Lucy's still massive fan, even though she's the manager. Mr. Kennedy is still massive fan. And it's not changed the view of the music and stuff.
Not at all.
Love it.
And I see them and I talk to them when I'm at Racket, and it's just normal. It's all completely normal. And unlike the other bands that I love, when I do actually get to meet them, which I'm very fortunate, I've met quite a lot of the bands that I love. I'm like this, gibbering 14-year-old fangirl. It's ridiculous. But
it's what you love.
When they go up on stage, they're the band, and they're, I'm loving it. I'm singing along. I'm waving my arms, cheering, everything.
Yeah. That's fantastic that you still enjoy it. It really is. I would have the same sort of thoughts about, if you see it so much, would it lessen the enjoyment of it? But, yourself, we know Mark, obviously, and it's not the case. I mean, they're that good.
Even when you're on tour, so when I was touring with the band, I'd be disappointed if I had to stay out and keep an eye on the merch and couldn't go in and see the gig. And you're seeing it night after night and pretty much the same set. And I would be disappointed that I couldn't go in and see the show. So normally there's usually a lovely security guard that will keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And William fans are great. They tend not to come out. They've come to watch the show. They've come to watch the show. They're not going to come out and buy a t-shirt, in the middle of a song. So,
It depends on which song it is, though.
well, yeah.
Whoa.
Everyone's got
I,
different toilet break songs, so
I can say, John, because I've done merch numerous times. I can tell you which songs, which are the loo break
Go on
songs.
then. Go on then. Let's get you in trouble.
No, I'm not getting myself in trouble. Voice from the past. What? No.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, on somewhere else. That was
See, now
the.
that song I can't listen to in the car because it makes me cry.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and that's again, every time an album comes out and all these songs that I've listened to and seen and whatever, none of it is tired, and they still affect me
Yeah.
in that way. And, that is one of those ones that I can't play without wanting to cry. So I just can't listen to it in the car.
I mean, knowing so many fans and knowing as many people that we do, anytime you have a conversation with people, everybody has a different song that they love or a stream of songs that they love, and it doesn't match the next person's. There's such a wide variety of styles and types of song, and it's the difference between again, it's like going to see them in a gig. You've got Garza playing, and then it's on. No one can, poles apart, but you love it all.
If I were to ask you, Stephanie, could you name your favourite Marillion album?
It's changed over the years because obviously they keep bringing out new ones.
Well, yes.
I would actually say it's probably Fear,
Okay. Wow. Great. Well, that's the answer
which I
then.
totally didn't get at all when it came out.
Yeah, it's we haven't reviewed it yet, so some of it I like and some of it I don't like, if I'm honest. But that's the thing. There, as long as there's 2 or 3 tracks on an album that you love, you stay along for the ride, don't you?
Yeah.
We're very loyal as prog fans.
Indeed,
Takes
indeed.
3 or 4 albums to shake me off, certainly. Sting managed it in the end, playing the lute at Christmas. Too much. Just lost me. But it took that to get rid of me, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that
What's your
album
favourite
too.
album?
We've just reviewed it. It's Brave.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
just
great.
the whole thing. For me, it's where the current lineup just clicked together, and we're all moving in the same direction. And the shows at the time were just amazing, absolutely
I
amazing.
agree.
I've flipped between three though, and Brave is me top one. Then I go fight between Afraid of Sunlight and Marbles.
Yeah.
I mean,
Afraid of Sunlight is the album I can play the
Sunlight
most.
was, I was going to say, Afraid of Sunlight was for a while. It's hard.
it is because I mean, when
really
you
hard.
the other thing that springs to mind is how exciting it was on the Farewell to '84 tour when they were playing the first side of Misplaced.
Yeah,
It was a great time to be a fan because you just felt that our band were about to take that next leap.
definitely, definitely.
But yeah, I mean,
I loved Brave when it first came out as well. When I devoured it from the first listening, I loved it.
we put an episode out today with 3 of our friends on, and it was kind of a mix. I have to be honest, the very first time I heard it, I thought my favourite band had lost it completely. They'd forgotten to put the songs on.
Yeah,
But I persevered with it, and then seeing it for the first time in Leeds about 3 weeks after it came out, it just clicked. It just clicked. But yeah, it's fantastic. But it's, we all know why we're here. And it's for those 5 or 6, if you include Derek, 6 guys.
yeah.
Do you still go and see Fish?
I don't. I did for a while.
Yeah.
Then I remember I don't like to say it, but I went and I was so disappointed because his voice, he was really struggling, and I thought, I'm not sure I want to go and see this anymore.
Yeah.
And I liked the first 3 albums, solo albums, and then I didn't really play them very much. And then the next one sort of drifted away, really.
I think
It was not a deliberate thing. It's just
no. You got to go and see what you enjoy, haven't you? Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the whole point in it. If you get some enjoyment from it, then that's what you do. I think now he's kind of, certainly his last 2 or 3 albums, the writing is more suited to his voice where it is now, and that helps a great deal.
I did very much like the last one, actually. So
Weltschmerz, yeah.
yeah,
It's
because
great.
everyone was raving and raving about it. I thought I should really go back and revisit this, and I thought, no, actually, this is good. This is good.
And who of the old sort of prog bands, the the second wave of prog of the 80s do you still listen to?
Oh, IQ, absolutely all the time. They have a very special place in my heart. And the Christmas gig, which unfortunately I missed this last year.
They've just announced this year's, haven't they?
Yeah, I've just announced this year, so it's
Yeah,
already
yeah, yeah.
and it's such a great occasion. But yeah, I love IQ to bits, and Martin Orford, has been one of my dearest friends since from those early days. Um,
I miss Widge.
I
He took a stand, but I miss him.
Yeah, and because I don't know. Did you know that he was driving the trains on the watercress line, the steam trains?
No, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
he was
Oh,
driving
brilliant.
He's
he
a
only
kettle
gave up.
driver.
Yeah, he only recently just gave up. So in the summer, I went down and went down to the watercress line, and he gave us a great tour, all behind the scenes. He's working really hard on restoring an engine at the moment, of which there is an appeal. I'll put it. I'll give you the link.
Yeah, we'll put it in the link. Yeah, fantastic. Oh,
Yeah,
brilliant.
that he's literally almost restoring it from scratch.
Wow.
So we share a big passion of steam trains and stuff like that. So
I'm a
it
diesel
was
man
lovely to
myself,
see.
but
It was lovely to see him. It really
Yeah,
was.
yeah. He still
And
does he still plays, doesn't he?
still plays it. He came back and played with Jadis. So for a
Yeah.
while, him and Gary were doing house gigs.
Yes.
And they were fantastic. They were great nights, literally like 20 people in someone's living room down in Hampshire. That was wonderful. And I think, when Gary started writing a bit again, he got sucked back into it. So it's been lovely, really, really lovely to see Jadis playing live.
Is he, because Jadis have just announced a few dates, haven't they? Is he part of that, do you know?
Have they? Oh, I missed
Yes.
that
Yeah,
completely.
Jadis have announced a few dates, yeah.
Oh, well, you'll have to tell me after that. But yeah,
Okay,
he will
okay,
be definitely,
okay,
definitely.
okay, cool.
And 12th night, because that's kind of what started it all off for me.
Yeah,
I think Fact and Fiction is one of those timeless albums that was such a commentary, a social commentary, with Jeff's lyrics,
yeah,
um, so much that's still so relevant today. And
absolutely, yeah.
it was prog, but it was so much more.
Were you
So
there for Jeff's last two gigs then? Were you at the Marquee for
was.
them?
I was. And
Okay,
people ask me, because I have been to a lot of gigs
yeah,
and still go to a lot of gigs. Most people say I'm never home. But that's it. I love my live music. It's it's my passion. And people say, what are your favorite gigs? And my favorite all-time gig is the Genesis Gabriel reunion, the Milton
back in
Keynes.
'82.
yeah.
That was just amazing. Because I never thought I'd ever get to see Genesis with Gabriel.
I have to say hello to Mark Owens, who was there and I wasn't there. And every time we mention it, he never lets it go that I wasn't there.
Oh,
It chucked it. I hear the weather was awful, so
it was awful. Literally, I was stood knee deep in mud, but I couldn't have cared. Couldn't have
no,
cared
no.
less. It was just a remarkable thing. And when Hackett, when Steve Hackett came on,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was just like wow.
I would have loved to have seen that. I really would.
It was truly, truly amazing, and really up in the top five, because it's kind of hard to say what's the next one. There's sort of like a top five, top 10, but definitely the top five were Jeff's last gigs, because they were just so emotional. The atmosphere. I mean, the marquee was just brilliant anyway, but that atmosphere in the marquee was just palpable. It was just, these are Jeff's last gigs, and the band gave everything, and
It comes across on the live album. It really does.
it,
I only, unlike yourself, I only went to the Marquee once. That was for the Misplaced Marquee gig in '85.
which I never went to. As I
Well,
say,
there you go.
never
There you
saw
go.
Brilliant there. It's
There you
bizarre.
go.
I was too young for that stuff.
Yeah, you're a baby.
You can still see your sort of love of music, and every time I talk to you about music, you're this enthusiastic about whatever music we're talking about, and it's great to see. It really is.
Well, last night I was at a gig last night. Well,
Not like you.
talk about differences. So on Sunday, I went to see Fisherman's
Yeah.
Friends, what a great gig, totally uplifting. You don't even need to know the songs and the words. You just go and you get involved, and they're great. They're brilliant performers, and it was a wonderful atmosphere. But last night I went to see a band called Flight. Again, another one that my daughter has introduced me to, and they're just wonderful. It's very much singer-songwriter. They're a pair, but they have always groups of talented musicians supporting them to make the live sound. And I saw them just before Christmas they headlined Coco, so that was probably
Right.
the biggest gig
Yeah.
that they've done. But last night was a really small, intimate warm-up for their European tour at the Shacklewell Arms. So there was 150 people in there, and I was stood right in front of the stage just listening, and it was just wonderful. Just
Brilliant.
completely wonderful. And being there with my daughter as well. It's seeing that she loves music in just the same way. Not necessarily all the same music, but
No, it's fine. I have a similar relationship with my daughter. There's
yeah,
bands that cross over. Muse. She just got tickets for Last Dinner Party,
right.
which I quite like the album. If I'm honest, I heard the
Yeah,
album quite like
same.
that. Yeah. But yeah, she's kind of gone off into Boy Genius and Phoebe Bridgers, and
That's the same. We went to the Boy Genius gig at Gunnersbury Park, and it was amazing. And I've played that album to death last year.
good album, really good album.
It is
I mean,
really
we've had some funny things where for instance, me and John and Dobby were the front row. We were the complete front row of a gig at Newcastle University in the bar upstairs of a certain band called Keane before anybody had ever heard of them.
wow.
Yeah, we were. I think we frightened them, to be honest
Yeah,
with you,
because we
Stephanie.
knew all the
They
words. So
walked out in Newcastle Uni
yeah,
expecting all these young kids,
yeah.
and they've got us old farts on the front row. But
This was before the first album came out,
yeah,
and
it was.
they were on Fierce Panda at the time. And David had got us into them, and the first singles and stuff. This was back in was it the start of 90, say 2003 or something. It was fair way before the album came out. And I remember there was a poor guy who was trying to kind of get it. I actually had a spare ticket, and I gave a guy a spare ticket
Wow.
because. And it was funny because 3 years later, I've seen them at the O2 from seeing them at the upstairs bar at Newcastle Uni.
Yeah,
I know.
Hmm.
Oh, that must have been an amazing gig.
Yeah, it was great
they
fun.
were great. They were great. They really were. I mean, Hopes and Fears is a brilliant album, but I've seen them 2 or 3 times since. You've seen them as well, Craig, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen loads of them.
Still a great live band, yeah, but different again. Different again. There's lots of music out there, folks.
There is. I mean, one person who I'm almost a bit obsessed with at the moment is CMAT.
Do you know Simon and Vicky are into CMA, aren't they?
Yeah,
Simon's, yeah,
I know because I spoke to them about it because they did. So Tatra and I went to see Wet Leg at the Royal Albert Hall last year, and she was supporting.
yeah.
And we were just like, oh my God, who is this woman? She's absolutely mad as a box of frogs. And how would you describe it? I guess it's sort of country rock.
Yeah, I saw her on. She was on
Rock
Graham
belt.
Norton. I saw her on Graham.
Yeah, that was amazing seeing her on Graham Norton. She
Yeah.
was great. But the first time we were just like, oh my God, who's this woman? And then we saw her, it was her. It was a brilliant festival. It was Flight, then CMAT, and then First Aid Kit
Oh
at
wow.
Palace.
Yeah.
And we saw her again, and then we saw her at another gig last year. And yeah, and we went to a couple of the small gigs, where they do all these record store promotion things. And so it was nice seeing those small intimate gigs because, to be honest, I prefer that than being the big arena thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, when Nothing But Thieves tour, I should go and see him about 4 or 5 times because I'm not obsessed or anything.
I'm not a great fan of arena gigs, but I did thoroughly enjoy Peter Gabriel last year. I
Yeah.
thought that was
And that's it.
that was amazing.
It's the production as well as
Yeah.
you're going to see that. But with bands where they don't necessarily have the budget to do that level of production, so Steph and I went to see them in Manchester, And, we queued for a bit as well. So we were down the front. But when we went to see them at the O2, we were the crazy ladies dancing at the back. So I don't want to be in all that crush. I'd rather just enjoy the music, soak up the atmosphere and, have a little bit of room to move.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a different sort of gig, isn't it?
It
Absolutely.
is. It is.
Keep live music alive. That's what you need.
Definitely. One of the other things I was going to say that I meant to say earlier that things that I love about my job is all the people I've met. So you guys, it's been a real privilege to meet so many lovely people all around the world. And, as well as putting people together to have these friendships, I've made some wonderful friendships with people that you probably wouldn't ever come across.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's as much a part of it as the music is seeing your friends. We all travel from different corners of the globe or the country and go to these same places, and you see people. There's a social side to it as well. There really is.
I mean,
Whether
we've said it before. I mean, me and John, we met on a train on the way to the fish weekend in May '94. Just sat opposite each other on the train randomly, and then you get talking, and
yeah.
30 years later, and
Exactly how I met Carol, outside one of the gigs. She had a jacket on that I really loved. And so I went up to her and said, I love your jacket. Where did you get it? Because she was wearing the Marillion t-shirt and that's how it happens.
Yeah, he's not managed to shake me off after all that time. So,
and then it's given me the opportunity to travel around the world.
yeah,
I've been to places that I would have never dreamed of going to. Say meeting all these lovely people and some experiences that just, money almost couldn't buy.
yeah.
One thing that sticks in my mind was going with Edison's children at the 50th Apollo landing gig, going off to do the merch for that.
Yeah.
And being part of that is just, and obviously meeting and Rick Armstrong, and who's one of my dear friends now. It just blows my mind really that, I've met so many lovely people and had all these wonderful experiences, and I feel extremely fortunate.
I don't know anybody who's got a bad word to say about you. I genuinely don't. You know.
My family might disagree.
Well, I don't know them, so you're all right. You're safe. I don't know.
we love you.
And I'm saying that was another thing as well about the job that, part of the reason when I'd left my career as it was, I'd left to have a family and I wanted to be the stay-at-home mum. I wanted to, be very much part of my children's growing up. My mum had always been at home when I was little, and the job gave me the complete flexibility to do that. And there's very few jobs that ever give you that flexibility. I was able to share the school run with, other mums. I was always able to help out school. I never had to miss assemblies, school plays, school performances. Didn't really miss out on any of that at all. And it was something that, is just invaluable, really, being able to do that. So
it sounds like it came at the perfect time for you.
it really did. It really did. And, you completely unexpected as well. So
some things were meant to be.
Indeed.
I think that's a good place to say thank you very much for talking to us this evening. It's been lovely talking to you, Stephanie.
It's been great, Annie.
Been an absolute joy talking to you two. You're lovely. You're so lovely.
Well, we can't agree on everything, can we? But thank you very much. We love everything you do. You work really hard for the band and you work for the fans, and your love of the music shines through as well. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So we'll just say we shall draw that to a close. Thank you very much for joining us, Stephanie. Good night from Stephanie.
Good night.
And Faye.
Good night.
And myself, Meza. Take care.
And stay alive. Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com. then check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot or fishmusic.eu for all the good stuff.